The rain hammered against the windows of the presidential suite at Seoul's most prestigious hotel, the Millennium Grand. It was well past midnight, and the city lights blurred into watercolor streaks through the storm. Inside Suite 3502, exhaustion had claimed an unlikely victim. Princess Mensa, a 22-year-old economics student from Ghana in her final year at Korea University, had made a terrible mistake. After her grueling 12-hour shift cleaning rooms throughout the hotel, she had entered what she thought was just another empty suite. The bed had looked so inviting, so impossibly soft compared to the thin mattress in her tiny dormitory room. Just 5 minutes, she had thought, just to rest my eyes. Those 5 minutes had stretched into 2 hours. The sound of the door opening didn't wake her. Neither did the footsteps crossing the marble floor. It was only when the bedroom lights flickered on that princess jolted awake, her heart slamming against her ribcage. Standing in the doorway, rain droplets still clinging to his perfectly tailored Ermenegildo Zegna suit, was Choi Kong-chi at 30 years old. He was the youngest CEO in the history of Choi Industries, a conglomerate worth billions. His dark hair was slightly disheveled from the wind, and his sharp eyes, usually cold and calculating in business meetings, now held an expression of complete bewilderment. I'm so sorry. Princess scrambled off the bed, her cleaning uniform wrinkled, her name tag hanging askew. Sir, I didn't mean to, I was just, oh my God, I'm getting fired, aren't I? She bowed deeply, her braided hair falling forward over her shoulders. Her hands trembled as she clutched her cleaning cart keys, the metal cutting into her palm. This was it. Her scholarship barely covered tuition, and she needed this job desperately. Without it, she'd have to return to Accra before graduating. But Kong-chi didn't move. He couldn't. He had seen countless beautiful women in his 30 years, models, actresses, socialites who threw themselves at him at every charity gala and business dinner. But none of them had ever made his breath catch quite like this. There was something about the way she stood there, vulnerable and terrified, yet somehow still dignified. Her dark skin seemed to glow under the suite's warm lighting, and her eyes, those deep brown eyes filled with panic and innocence, struck something deep within his chest. What's your name? Kong-chi asked, his voice quieter than he'd intended. Princess looked up, startled by the gentleness in his tone. Princess, sir. Princess Mensa. I'm so sorry. I'll leave right now. Please don't report me. I need this job to finish school. I only have 1 semester left and... Princess, Kong-chi interrupted, taking a step closer. He pulled off his suit jacket and laid it over the back of a chair with careful precision. Did you eat dinner? The question hung in the air between them, completely unexpected. What? Princess blinked rapidly, certain she'd misheard. Dinner. Did you eat? Kong-chi repeated, loosening his tie. He moved to the suite's phone and pressed a button. Yes, this is Suite 3502. I'd like the kitchen to prepare, actually, make that 2 orders of everything on the late-night menu. Yes, everything. Thank you. He turned back to Princess, who stood frozen by the bed, confusion written across her face. Sir, I really should go. You're exhausted, Kong-chi said matter-of-factly. You fell asleep because you're working yourself to death. Sit down. Eat. Then you can leave. But I violated hotel policy. I'm not going to report you. Sit. Princess hesitated, every instinct screaming at her to run. But her legs were shaking with exhaustion, and the promise of food was too tempting. Slowly, she sank into one of the suite's plush armchairs, perching on the edge like she might need to flee at any moment. Kong-chi took the seat across from her, and for a long moment, they simply looked at each other. He seemed to be studying her, his expression unreadable. How long have you been in Korea? He finally asked. 3.5 years, sir. Why are you working the overnight shift? Princess's fingers twisted together in her lap. My scholarship only covers tuition. I have to pay for everything else myself. The overnight shift pays better and doesn't conflict with my classes. Your family can't help. The question made her chest tighten. My father died when I was 15. My mother sells fabrics at the market back home. She can barely support herself and my two younger sisters. Something flickered across Kang Chi's face, respect, perhaps, or recognition. Before he could respond, the food arrived, wheeled in on two elaborate carts. The servers' eyes widened when they saw Princess in her cleaning uniform, but one sharp look from Kang Chi silenced any comments. Eat, Kang Chi said simply, gesturing to the spread. Princess stared at the array of dishes, bulgogi, japchae, galbi, seafood pancakes, and at least a dozen other items she couldn't name. It was more food than she'd seen in weeks. I can't accept this, she said quietly. It's too much. I don't even know you. You don't have to know me to accept a meal. You're hungry. The food is here. That's all that matters. But why are you being nice to me? People like you don't, she stopped herself, biting her lip. People like me? Kang Chi's eyebrow raised slightly. Rich people. Important people. They don't usually notice people like me. And when they do, they want something. What do you think I want? Princess met his gaze directly for the first time, her chin lifting despite her fear. I don't know. But there's always something. A slow smile spread across Kang Chi's face. You're smart. Cautious. That's good. He leaned back in his chair. I don't want anything from you except to watch you eat. You look like you're about to collapse, and I can't in good conscience send you home like this. Eat. Please. Still wary, Princess tentatively reached for a piece of bulgogi. The moment the meat touched her tongue, she couldn't help the small sound of pleasure that escaped her. She hadn't realized how hungry she was until this moment. Kang Chi watched her eat with an expression of satisfaction, asking her occasional questions about her studies, her life in Korea. Princess answered cautiously, still trying to figure out his angle. But as the meal wore on and he remained nothing but polite and genuinely interested, she found herself relaxing incrementally. What's your major? Kang Chi asked. Economics, with a focus on international trade. Why economics? Because I want to help my country, Princess said, passion creeping into her voice despite her exhaustion. Ghana has so many resources, so much potential, but we need people who understand global markets to help us compete. I want to be one of those people. That's ambitious. Is that a problem? No. Kang Chi's eyes held hers. It's admirable. Most people I meet only care about what they can take. You care about what you can give. Princess felt heat creep up her neck at the intensity of his gaze. She looked down at her plate. I should go. It's late, and you probably have work tomorrow. I do. But I'd like to see you again. Princess's head snapped up. What? Have coffee with me tomorrow. Or breakfast. Whichever you prefer. Sir, that's not, she stood abruptly. Thank you for the food, but I really can't. Why not? Kang Chi stood as well, moving around the table but keeping a respectful distance. Because this doesn't make sense. She gestured at the sweet, at him, at everything. You're clearly someone important. And I'm nobody. I clean toilets for a living. We don't exist in the same world. Maybe that's exactly why we should get to know each other. Different worlds, new perspectives. Princess shook her head firmly. I appreciate your kindness tonight, but I can't. I don't date. I don't have time for relationships. I work, I study, I sleep, and then I do it all over again. That's my life. For how much longer? Kang Chi challenged. Until you burn out completely. Until you collapse from exhaustion. That's none of your concern. You're right. It's not. He pulled a business card from his wallet and held it out to her. But if you change your mind, call me. Even if it's just to talk. You look like you could use a friend. Princess stared at the card like it might bite her. After a long moment, she took it, more to end the conversation than anything else. Thank you for not reporting me. And for the food. Good night, sir. Kong-chi, my name is Kong-chi. Good night, Princess repeated, not using his name, and quickly made her exit. As the door closed behind her, Kong-chi stood in the empty suite, his hands still tingling from the brief moment their fingers had touched when she took his card. He'd never been so intrigued by someone in his entire life. That woman, Princess, had looked at him with 0 stars in her eyes, no calculation, no manipulation. Just exhaustion, wariness, and a fierce independence that made his heart race. He wanted to know everything about her. And Choi Kong-chi was a man who always got what he wanted. Princess sat in her 9 a.m. macroeconomics lecture, trying to focus on the professor's explanation of supply and demand curves. But her mind kept drifting to the strange encounter from the night before. The business card was tucked into her textbook, and she kept glancing at it. Choi Kong-chi, CEO, Choi Industries. She'd looked up the company that morning. Choi Industries was worth over $50 billion, with holdings in technology, real estate, manufacturing, and hospitality. Which meant the hotel where she worked was probably owned by his family. Which meant he could have gotten her fired with a single phone call. But he hadn't. Princess still didn't understand why. Rich men didn't just feed strangers out of kindness. There was always an agenda. After class, she headed to the library to study before her afternoon shift at the hotel. She'd just settled into her usual corner when her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Did you sleep well? K. Choi. Princess stared at the message, her heart inexplicably racing. How did he get her number? Then she remembered. The hotel had all employees' contact information on file. He must have looked it up. She should be angry about the invasion of privacy. Instead, she found herself typing a response. How did you get this number? The reply came almost instantly. I'm resourceful. And I wanted to make sure you got home safely. Did you? Yes. Thank you again for last night. Have lunch with me. Princess's fingers hovered over the keyboard. She should say no. She should block this number and pretend last night never happened. But something stopped her. I can't. I have to study. Then study with me. I'll bring food. You can eat while you work. That's still lunch. Technically it's multitasking. Despite herself, Princess smiled. Then she caught herself and frowned. She wasn't going to encourage this. I don't think that's a good idea. Why not? Because I don't know you. Because you're my employer's son. Because this is inappropriate. I'm not your employer. The hotel is. And I'd like you to know me. That's the point of spending time together. Mr. Choi. Kong-chi, Mr. Choi, I appreciate your interest, but I'm really not looking for any complications in my life right now. There was a longer pause before his next message. I understand. I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable. But I meant what I said last night. If you ever need a friend, or help, or just someone to talk to, I'm here. Princess stared at the message, feeling an unexpected pang in her chest. When was the last time someone had offered to help her, no strings attached? Thank you. That's kind of you. She didn't hear from him again that day. 3 days later. Princess was in the middle of her shift, pushing her cleaning cart down the 35th floor corridor, when she saw him. Kong-chi was standing outside one of the suites with 2 other men in business suits, clearly in the middle of a conversation. He looked every inch the powerful CEO, sharp suit, sharper eyes, commanding presence. Their eyes met across the hallway. Princess's breath caught, and for a moment, she forgot to move. Then Kong-chi smiled, not the polite smile he was giving his companions, but something warmer, more genuine. Princess quickly ducked her head and hurried past, her heart pounding. She heard him excuse himself from his colleagues, heard footsteps following her. Princess, wait. She stopped, turning slowly. Mr. Choi. I'm working. I can see that. He caught up to her, and she was struck again by how tall he was, how his presence seemed to fill the entire corridor. How have you been? Fine, thank you. Have you been eating properly? The question, so unexpectedly tender, threw her off balance. That's not your concern. Humor me anyway. Princess sighed. Yes, I've been eating. Though not nearly as extravagantly as that night. Good. Kong Chi glanced at his watch. What time do you finish your shift? 2 a.m. Why? Because I'd like to take you to breakfast afterward. Mr. Choi. Kong Chi. Mr. Choi, Princess repeated firmly, I already told you I'm not interested in dating. I don't have time for it, and even if I did, she gestured between them. This doesn't make sense. What doesn't make sense about two people getting to know each other? Everything. You're you. And I'm me. We're from completely different worlds. So you've said. But I don't see why that matters. Of course you don't, Princess said, frustration creeping into her voice. Because you've never had to worry about what people think, or whether you belong somewhere, or if someone is being nice to you because of who you are versus what you can give them. Kong Chi's expression softened. You're right. I haven't experienced those things. But that doesn't mean I can't understand them, or that I don't want to. One of his colleagues called his name from down the hall. I have to go, Kong Chi said reluctantly. But Princess. I'm not going to stop asking. Not because I'm persistent, though I am, but because I genuinely think you're remarkable, and I'd like the chance to prove I'm not whatever terrible thing you think I am. He walked away before she could respond, leaving Princess standing in the hallway with her cleaning cart, her mind spinning. 1 week later. The flowers started arriving on the 4th day. Princess returned from class to find a small bouquet on her dormitory doorstep, local Korean wildflowers, nothing extravagant. The card read, These reminded me of you. Strong and beautiful despite difficult conditions. KC. The next day, there was a care package, high-quality instant meals, protein bars, fresh fruit, and a note, I know you won't let me take you to dinner, but at least let me make sure you're fed. KC. The 3rd day brought a book, The Wealth of Nations in both English and Korean, with another note, saw this and thought you might need it for class. The English version is usually easier to understand. KC, Princess wanted to be annoyed. She wanted to return everything and tell him to stop. But she couldn't deny that each gift was thoughtful, practical, and completely non-creepy. He wasn't sending diamonds or expensive dresses. He was sending food and books, things she actually needed. Her roommate, Jisoo, thought the whole thing was romantic. He's clearly interested in you, and he's being respectful about it. What's the problem? The problem is that this can't go anywhere, Princess said, even if I wanted to date him, which I don't, we're too different. You're scared, Jisoo observed. I'm practical. You're scared, Jisoo repeated. You're scared because you like him, and liking him feels dangerous. Princess opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. Maybe Jisoo was right. Maybe she was scared. Because the truth was, she did think about Kong Chi more than she should. She wondered what he was doing, whether he'd eaten lunch, if he was getting enough sleep. And that terrified her. That evening, she finally broke down and texted him. Thank you for the gifts. They're very thoughtful. But you need to stop. His response came 5 minutes later. Why? Because I can't reciprocate. I don't have money for gifts or time for dates. This is one-sided, and it's not fair to you. I'm not keeping score, Princess. I'm just trying to take care of someone who clearly doesn't take care of herself. That's not your responsibility. Maybe not. But I want it to be. Princess stared at her phone, her chest tight. She typed and deleted 3 different responses before finally settling on, 1 coffee. That's all I can offer. 1 coffee, and then you leave me alone to finish my semester in peace. His response was immediate. Tomorrow. 3 p.m. I'll pick you up after your morning classes. I can meet you somewhere. I'll pick you up. Send me your address. Against every ounce of common sense, Princess did. The next afternoon. Princess had changed her outfit 4 times before settling on simple jeans and a white blouse. It's just coffee, she told her reflection firmly. Not a date. Definitely not a date. When Kong Chi's black Mercedes pulled up outside her dormitory exactly at 3 p.m., Princess took a deep breath and headed down. He was waiting outside the car, dressed more casually than she'd ever seen him, dark jeans, a gray sweater, and a leather jacket. He looked unfairly handsome. "Hi," Kong Chi said, his face lighting up when he saw her. "Hi." Princess clutched her small purse tightly. "Where are we going?" "Somewhere quiet. Where we can actually talk." He opened the car door for her, and Princess slid in, hyper-aware of the expensive leather seats and the faint scent of his cologne. The drive took about 20 minutes, during which they made awkward small talk about the weather and her classes. Finally, they pulled up to a small, traditional Korean tea house tucked away in a quiet neighborhood. It was the opposite of what Princess had expected, no fancy hotel restaurant, no place where they might run into his colleagues or friends. Just a cozy, intimate space with low tables and floor cushions. "I hope this is okay," Kong Chi said as they settled at a corner table. "I wanted somewhere we wouldn't be interrupted." "It's nice," Princess admitted. And it was. The space felt safe, comfortable. They ordered tea and traditional Korean sweets, and for a few minutes, they sat in silence. "So," Kong Chi finally said, "ask me anything you want to know." "What?" "You said you don't know me. So get to know me. Ask me questions. I promise to answer honestly." Princess considered this. "Why me? I know you could have anyone. Models, actresses, women who actually belong in your world. Why are you pursuing a broke student who cleans hotel rooms?" Kong Chi didn't hesitate. "Because you're real. Every other woman I've met in the past 10 years has looked at me and seen dollar signs, or a title, or a stepping stone to something else. You looked at me and saw nothing special. Do you know how rare that is? So I'm interesting because I'm not interested. No. You're interesting because you're brilliant, hardworking, kind, and so determined to make something of yourself that you're willing to work yourself to death to do it. You're interesting because you have principles and dreams that have nothing to do with money or status. You're interesting because when I talk to you, I feel like I'm talking to an equal, not a subordinate or a fan." Princess felt her cheeks warm. "That's a lot. It's the truth." "Okay, my turn for a question," Princess said. "Do you do this often? Pursue women who aren't interested?" "Never," Kong Chi said immediately. "I've never had to pursue anyone. And I've never wanted to, until you. So I'm a challenge. A game? No. You're the first person in years who's made me feel something real." The sincerity in his voice made Princess's throat tight. She looked down at her tea. "I can't be what you want me to be. What do you think I want you to be?" "A girlfriend. A partner. Someone who can attend events with you and fit into your life." "I don't want you to fit into my life," Kong Chi said firmly. "I want to build a life that fits both of us. There's a difference." Princess shook her head. "You don't understand. I have 1 semester left. After that, I'm going back to Ghana. I have to help my family, my country. I've always known I would go back." "Okay. Okay." Princess looked up, startled. "That's it? Just okay? You have plans. I respect that. But plans can change. People can adapt. And 6 months is still 6 months. Kang Chi leaned forward. I'm not asking you to marry me, princess. I'm just asking you to let me be part of your life for however long you're here. Let me get to know you. Let me support you. And when the time comes for you to leave, if that's what you still want, I won't stop you. Why would you agree to that? Knowing it has an expiration date. Because 6 months with you is better than a lifetime without having known you at all. Princess felt tears prick her eyes. You can't just say things like that. Why not? It's true. Because it's not fair. Because it makes me want things I shouldn't want. What do you want? Kang Chi's voice was soft, coaxing. Princess met his eyes, and for the first time, she let him see past her walls. I want to not be alone all the time. I want someone to talk to about things that matter. I want, her voice cracked. I want to feel like someone sees me. Not the scholarship student or the maid or the foreigner. Just me. I see you, Kang Chi said, reaching across the table to take her hand. I see you, princess. And I'd like to keep seeing you, if you'll let me. Princess looked at their joined hands, his so much larger than hers, warm and solid and real. She should pull away. She should run. But she was so tired of running. Just friends, she said finally. If we're going to do this, we start as friends. No expectations, no pressure. A slow smile spread across Kang Chi's face. Friends. I can do friends. I mean it. I don't have time for dating. I have to study, work. I'll help you study. I have 2 degrees from SNU. I'm excellent at economics. 2 weeks later. Somehow, impossibly, they fell into a rhythm. Kang Chi picked Princess up after her morning classes 3 times a week, and they'd have lunch together, sometimes at quiet restaurants, sometimes just street food eaten while walking through parks. He never pushed for more, never tried to kiss her or even hold her hand beyond that first time at the tea house. He simply showed up, consistently and reliably, fitting himself into the margins of her hectic life. He helped her study, and she was annoyed to discover he really was excellent at economics. He explained complex theories with ease, sometimes offering business world insights her professors couldn't provide. When she worked nights, he'd send her text messages, never intrusive, just little check-ins to make sure she was okay. Drink water. You always forget to drink water. KC. Did you eat dinner? Don't lie. KC. 3 more hours until your shift ends. You can do this. KC. Princess found herself looking forward to his messages, smiling at her phone in the middle of cleaning rooms. Jisoo teased her mercilessly. You're falling for him, her roommate said one night. I am not. You check your phone every 5 minutes to see if he's texted. You talk about him constantly. You light up when he's mentioned. I do not light up. You're literally glowing right now just because I said his name. Princess threw a pillow at her. But the truth was, Jisoo was right. Somewhere between the study sessions and the lunch dates and the thoughtful text messages, Kang Chi had become important to her. She thought about him when she should be thinking about macroeconomic policy. She wondered what he'd say about things she learned in class. She missed him on the days they didn't see each other. It terrified her. 4 weeks later. Princess stood outside the Shilla Hotel, her heart racing. Kang Chi had asked her to dinner, a real, official date. She wore a simple navy dress, her braids styled elegantly, and she'd never felt more nervous in her life. When Kang Chi saw her, his face lit up like she was the sun breaking through clouds. You look beautiful, he said, offering his arm. The dinner was perfect. They talked for hours, laughing and sharing stories. And when Kang Chi walked her back to her dormitory that night, he stopped at the door. Princess, he said softly, taking her hands. I know you wanted a month to decide if this was real. But I can't wait another second to tell you, I'm falling in love with you. Actually, I think I fell in love with you the night I found you in my bed. I love your determination, your kindness, your brilliant mind. I love how you make me want to be a better person. I love you. Princess's eyes filled with tears. Kang Chi. You don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. I love you too, Princess whispered. I tried so hard not to, but I do. I love you. The kiss that followed was soft and sweet, full of promise and hope. When they finally pulled apart, both were smiling. So, are we doing this? Kang Chi asked. Officially. We're doing this, Princess confirmed, and kissed him again.